UPSC preparation feels like an uphill task. Too many resources, too many books, no clear direction. It's time to simplify your journey and streamline your preparation. Introducing the Vision IAS Bengaluru GS Foundation course, your all-in-one preparation partner for UPSC CSE 2026, 2027 or 2028. Batch starts at 20th June at 8 am. This isn't just another course. It's everything you need to conquer UPSC in one course. Expert guidance from Delhi's most trusted faculty. Exhaustive syllabus coverage, smartly structured. Personalized mentorship to keep you on track. Integrated current affairs plus static content, no more juggling. All India test series to sharpen your exam edge. This is your winning strategy. Your structure. Your success. UPSC preparation feels like an uphill task. Too many resources, too many books, no clear direction. It's time to simplify your journey and streamline your preparation. Introducing the Vision IAS Bengaluru GS Foundation course, your all-in-one preparation partner for UPSC CSE 2026, 2027 or 2028. Batch starts at 20th June at 8 am. This isn't just another course. It's everything you need to conquer UPSC in one course. Expert guidance from Delhi's most trusted faculty. Exhaustive syllabus coverage, smartly structured. Personalized mentorship to keep you on track. Integrated current affairs plus static content, no more juggling. All India test series to sharpen your exam edge. This is your winning strategy. Your structure. Your success. UPSC preparation feels like an uphill task. Too many resources, too many books, no clear direction. It's time to simplify your journey and streamline your preparation. Introducing the Vision IAS Bengaluru GS Foundation course, your all-in-one preparation partner for UPSC CSE 2026, 2027 or 2028. Batch starts at 20th June at 8 am. This isn't just another course. It's everything you need to conquer UPSC in one course. Expert guidance from Delhi's most trusted faculty. Exhaustive syllabus coverage, smartly structured. Personalized mentorship to keep you on track. Integrated current affairs plus static content, no more juggling. All India test series to sharpen your exam edge. This is your winning strategy. Your structure. Your success. UPSC preparation feels like an uphill task. Too many resources, too many books, no clear direction. It's time to simplify your journey and streamline your preparation. Introducing the Vision IAS Bengaluru GS Foundation course, your all-in-one preparation partner for UPSC CSE 2026, 2027 or 2028. Batch starts at 20th June at 8 am. This isn't just another course. It's everything you need to conquer UPSC in one course. Expert guidance from Delhi's most trusted faculty. Exhaustive syllabus coverage, smartly structured. Personalized mentorship to keep you on track. Integrated current affairs plus static content, no more juggling. All India test series to sharpen your exam edge. This is your winning strategy. Your structure. Your success. UPSC preparation feels like an uphill task. Too many resources, too many books, no clear direction? It's time to simplify your journey and streamline your preparation. Introducing the Vision IAS Bengaluru GS Foundation course, your all-in-one preparation partner for UPSC CSE 2026, 2027 or 2028. Batch starts at 20th June at 8 am. This isn't just another course. It's everything you need to conquer UPSC in one course. Expert guidance from Delhi's most trusted faculty. Exhaustive syllabus coverage, smartly structured. Personalized mentorship to keep you on track. Integrated current affairs plus static content, no more juggling. All India test series to sharpen your exam edge. This is your winning strategy. Your structure. Your success. UPSC preparation feels like an uphill task. Too many resources, too many books, no clear direction. It's time to simplify your journey and streamline your preparation. Introducing the Vision IAS Bengaluru GS Foundation course, your all-in-one preparation partner for UPSC CSE 2026, 2027 or 2028. Batch starts at 20th June at 8 am. This isn't just another course. It's everything you need to conquer UPSC in one course. Expert guidance from Delhi's most trusted faculty. Exhaustive syllabus coverage, smartly structured. Personalized mentorship to keep you on track. Integrated current affairs plus static content, no more juggling. All India test series to sharpen your exam edge. This is your winning strategy. Your structure. Your success. Are you gearing up for UPSC Civil Services Examination 2025? One of the key areas where aspirants often struggle is the ethics paper, especially with case studies. Vision IAS presents the Ethics Case Studies classes, crafted to take your preparation from the basics to advanced, focusing on real-life scenarios that require critical thinking and ethical solutions. Our program includes 100+ UPSC-level case studies, integrated with current issues, daily assignments, and personalized guidance to ensure you're fully equipped to handle the ethics paper with confidence. With one-on-one mentoring and a structured approach, you'll gain conceptual clarity, learn to approach case studies methodically, and master the ethics paper. Join the Vision IAS Ethics Case Studies classes starting from 25th June at 5:30 p.m. and boost your ethics preparation. Are you gearing up for UPSC Civil Services Examination 2025? One of the key areas where aspirants often struggle is the ethics paper, especially with case studies. Vision IAS presents the Ethics Case Studies classes, crafted to take your preparation from the basics to advanced, focusing on real-life scenarios that require critical thinking and ethical solutions. Our program includes 100+ UPSC-level case studies, integrated with current issues, daily assignments, and personalized guidance to ensure you're fully equipped to handle the ethics paper with confidence. With one-on-one mentoring and a structured approach, you'll gain conceptual clarity, learn to approach case studies methodically, and master the ethics paper. Join the Vision IAS Ethics Case Studies classes starting from 25th June at 5:30 p.m. and boost your ethics preparation. UPSC Mains is not just about writing answers, it's about writing them the right way. With clarity, structure, and a strategic approach. Lakshya Mains Mentoring Program 2025 by Vision IAS is designed to help you internalize the mains mindset through a mentor-driven, performance-focused approach. At the core of Lakshya is personalized mentorship. Regular one-on-one sessions to assess your progress. Detailed feedback to refine your answer writing. Strategic guidance tailored to your strengths and weaknesses. Backed by daily answer writing practice. Enrichment sessions on GS, essay, and ethics. Issue-based discussions to build analytical depth. Rigorous tests with structured evaluations. Lakshya isn't about information overload, it's about consistent improvement under expert guidance. It's about converting preparation into performance. Enroll for the course starting 24th June. Available in online hybrid mode. UPSC Mains is not just about writing answers, it's about writing them the right way. With clarity, structure, and a strategic approach. Lakshya Mains Mentoring Program 2025 by Vision IAS is designed to help you internalize the mains mindset through a mentor-driven, performance-focused approach. At the core of Lakshya is personalized mentorship. Regular one-on-one sessions to assess your progress. Detailed feedback to refine your answer writing. Strategic guidance tailored to your strengths and weaknesses. Backed by daily answer writing practice. Enrichment sessions on GS, essay, and ethics. Issue-based discussions to build analytical depth. Rigorous tests with structured evaluations. Lakshya isn't about information overload, it's about consistent improvement under expert guidance. It's about converting preparation into performance. Enroll for the course starting 24th June. Available in online hybrid mode. UPSC Mains 2025 is near, and reading news won't cut it anymore. You need to master current affairs the smart way. That's where Vision IAS Mains 365 comes in. In just 20 days and 60 hours, we cover a whole year of current affairs from top sources like The Hindu, PIB, and more. Join live sessions or watch recordings whenever you want. Got doubts? We clear them. Need guidance? We mentor you personally. Plus, we focus on answer writing and analysis to help your mains papers shine. Don't just keep up, get ahead with Vision IAS Mains 365. Batch starts from 1st July at 5 p.m. UPSC Mains 2025 is near, and reading news won't cut it anymore. You need to master current affairs the smart way. That's where Vision IAS Mains 365 comes in. In just 20 days and 60 hours, we cover a whole year of current affairs from top sources like The Hindu, PIB, and more. Join live sessions or watch recordings whenever you want. Got doubts? We clear them. Need guidance? We mentor you personally. Plus, we focus on answer writing and analysis to help your mains papers shine. Don't just keep up, get ahead with Vision IAS Mains 365. Batch starts from 1st July at 5 p.m. In UPSC Mains, every mark counts and your optional subject holds the key to unlocking crucial marks. With so much riding on a single paper, your optional can be the difference between success and disappointment. At Vision IAS, we know what it takes to turn optional preparation into top performance. Our optional classroom program 2000
Yes, good evening students. Yeah, so welcome to this session on anthropology related preparation. So I'm myself Suhas, and I know many of you are aware of me. Yeah, all of you are aware of me. So we'll be discussing about how exactly this particular optional can be helpful for this year mains, okay, and also those who are actually planning to prepare or take up this optional. Like for you also, it will give a detailed analysis or advantage of this particular optional. We'll be discussing about that, okay. So though the session is very much streamlined towards this year mains candidates, but still an in-depth analysis of this subject at the mains level for this year mains level, when we look at that, will help you actually to think about like this optional based on the advantages this optional has. Is that clear? Okay. So firstly, like we'll look into this. So it will be a master session, or like then strategic session to understand how to prepare for the optional this year. Okay. So next. So here now, first thing, the foundation part, let us look at why and what of anthropology. Okay. So when we look at why and what of anthropology, basically those who are giving mains this year, you will be already aware of this part. Okay. But for those who are not aware of anthropology or deciding to take up this as a subject, okay, for you people, let me actually give you some more insights onto this. Okay. See, when you actually look at this particular subject, anthropology, okay, it is like almost if you take this particular subject since 1985, okay, the questions are straight. Is that clear? The questions are straight and very much repeated. So before going into that aspect, let me tell you one thing, that when you actually want to choose a subject particular as your optional, okay, you have to go to that extent where you do like proper analysis of the syllabus and the question papers. Okay. A superficial analysis will never actually give you a holistic understanding of that particular subject. So you need to break down at the granular level of each of this particular subject, and then you should also look at the exam structure, how the questions are coming and in what ways we have to actually keep our answers in which direction to score better. Okay. So here, when you look at this subject in itself has some inherent advantages. Is that clear? It has its own inherent advantages, and also with respect to the structural demands of the examination, these advantages makes an aspirant to score easily more than 300 plus. Is that clear? So in the market, if you see, not many subjects can promise you 300 plus if you're streamlining your efforts in the right direction. Except anthropology, no subject can promise 300 plus. Is that clear? And I'm not shooting some bullets in the air. Okay. You have the past year performance of several toppers. Is that clear? Of several toppers. Like for example, like our Bengaluru girl only, she has topped this particular anthropology. Not just anthropology, in entire optional scores, she is the highest. She got 362. Okay. 362, Lakshmi Nagappan. Okay, so now the question comes, like even toppers, literally, like you can go and analyze in the past 15 years. There had been top 5 ranks. Many of them had, like for example, Anudeep Duri Shetty or Akshit Jain or Dwij Goyal. So many people have topped this exam because, one of the best mileage they have got is anthropology. Is this clear? So now, what actually makes this, even if you look at that particular trend, post 2012, 13, or let us say post 2015, okay, this subject has been most chosen on sides along with political science. Is that clear? Political science is also chosen along with like anthropology. This is the most chosen subject by several aspirants. Now, when you look at political science, as my knowledge goes, political science, most of the students choose it because of the overlap with the GS. Okay. But another thing is, it is very bulky and dynamic. Is that clear? It's most vast subject. Political science and geography are the most vast subject in the entire optional. Most chosen optionals. Okay. But if you compare it with anthropology, that's the advantage, limited option, limited syllabus. Is that clear? So now, let us understand why exactly that, or else let us understand like this. What are those subject unique characteristics that makes most of the aspirants to choose this optional, and those who get selected in the top ranks are even able to score more than 300. Is that clear? So that part we will look into it. Here, when we look at this first one, the first primary thing, you tell me, let me ask you very simple thing. If I write a mathematics answer, or let us say, if I write one physics answer, or let us come to the core, if I write some answer on biology, okay, versus I write an answer on some societal issues, or if I write an answer on some perspective of how to deal with international relations, or let us take the issue now, US has bombed Iran, right? Iran. Now, what is your opinion? Is there a standard answer where you will get out of out like the science or maths question? No. Accepted? But here in anthropology, you cannot classify completely as a science or a humanities subject. Okay. And to be very specific, anthropology has the scientific and objective nature in its paper. Is that clear? Now you can ask me, sir, if that is the case, then I'll take mathematics. Okay. But scaling is there. Okay. The scaling is very costly affair there. Okay. Like those people who actually write the answer and come back. I have one friend who had, her attempts are over. She had consistently written 3 mains with mathematics optional, and every time she comes back, she used to tell, मैंने तो 450 mark के लिए attempt किया है, 480 marks के लिए attempt किया है. So this is something she used to tell me. But when the score comes, she did not cross more than 250, 270. Okay, because there is scaling factor. Now you can ask me, sir, anthropology doesn't have scaling. Anthropology has scaling. Is that clear? Anthropology also has scaling. But despite that, people are able to score. Even this year, 298 is the highest. Okay, I guess rank 71 or something. Okay, he's also vision student only. Okay, so that rank 71 or 74. Okay, so he's also vision student, classroom student. So like basically, he's got that top score, 298. Is that clear? So Anthro has been consistently able to give that score because of one factor, the objective nature of the subject. Is that clear? It's not subjective. Okay, what might be right for you might not be right for me. That is subjective. Okay, so like for example, like let us say, which one do you actually support? Male chauvinism or feminism? That's subjective. Capitalism or socialism? That is subjective. But if I ask you, write a note on neo-Darwinism, or like write a note on genetics, Mendelian genetics, there is no subjectivity. What is there, that is same for you as well as me. Correct? So that's something that is basically the scientific and objective nature of this paper. Here, when you look at this, I guess you must have already seen the syllabus. Okay, so in the syllabus, there is 12 topics in paper 1 and 9 topics in paper 2. Is that clear? So when we look at this syllabus, almost like in paper 1, 1.4 to 1.8, and almost from 9 to 12. Okay, these are the scientific topics where you will actually have an advantage of writing the answer in very objective manner, precise manner, and factual based answers. Is that clear? Roughly, okay, forget about, since you are also, few of you are like freshers. I don't want to take you to the numbers 9 to 12, 4 to 8. No, I'll give you the concept in terms of what you want. Okay, 100 marks out of 250 marks in paper 1 is straight objective nature. Minimum. Is this clear? Minimum 100 marks out of 250 marks in paper 1 anthropology is objective. Okay, that means it is something related to science. Is this clear? Okay, now when you look at this here, what happens basically is that this particular part, because it is objective evaluation by the examiner, there is greater chance for you to actually score really well. Is that clear? Even if you score, let us say in out of the rest 150 marks, out of this 100, if you score somewhere around 70, And in rest 150, you are scoring like, let us say, another 70. 140 out of 250 is extraordinary score. Is that clear? 140 out of 250 is extraordinary score. Is that clear? Next, adding to this, apart from this, there is one more aspect here. In this particular paper, the chances for you to present through diagrams is high. Okay. Now, the question is, sir, should I be like Picasso? No, not at all. Okay. A basic diagram which you should actually practice at least 100 to 150 times before your mains exam. Then, of course, you will be almost like a Picasso. Clear? Is this clear? Okay. Basic diagrams, like for example, you should know how to draw a skull. Okay. Bones. Is that clear? Jawline. Or like all these things you are supposed to draw. Is that clear? So now, apart from that, like generally that is the section where you see something called primatology. Okay, you must have heard that from the apes we evolved. Correct? That is the section that we study there. Is this clear? And further, when you look at, like for example, DNA replication methods, okay, or like Mendelian genetics related, okay. So these are some diagrams you need to draw. Apart from this, you should be comfortable drawing good flowcharts. Okay, you should be comfortable drawing good flowcharts. And moreover, if you see all these flowcharts, diagrams, maps, like for example, we have the syllabus of archaeology here. Okay, archaeological anthropology, where you'll be studying about like Neolithic, Mesolithic, Chalcolithic, all this, okay, Paleolithic, all these things. Now the question is, draw one India map and mark the sites. Clear? So, maps, diagrams, flowcharts. Okay, now you tell me, writing 100 words versus like telling that, okay, these sites are available in so and so XYZ places, versus drawing one particular like map and marking it, which is more appealing if you are an examiner? Maps, correct? So that's some advantage that you get again. Is that clear? And further, like, okay, like several aspirants, they do have a question. Like basically, sir, what is the overlap with the general studies? Okay, let me tell you first thing, like overlap with the general studies cannot be the only criteria. Is that clear? It cannot be the only criteria. And second thing, at the optional level, what you learn, that level if you write in general studies, those are not general studies answers. Is that clear? That becomes very much detrimental for your scoring only. Okay, this year I had conversation with one of the toppers. Okay, so that person was telling me he had PSI or optional, and in essay he started quoting several scholars and everything last year attempt, in last mains. He did not score well. But this year he changed the approach. He quoted minimum number of scholars, but more of dimensions and several perspectives. That fetched him at least 20 marks more than last year. Is that clear? So now, but do you think like completely the optional knowledge should be kept away from the GS? No, not at all. That actually saves your time, of course. You need not, like for example, you study anthropology. Anthropology has significant overlap. Okay, like for example, firstly, I'm not speaking about essay because essay, of course, it will help you. Is that clear? Essay, of course, it will help you because nowadays it is more a philosophical essay. So you can bring the examples from the society and incorporate it there. Is that clear? So that way essay will be helpful. But secondly, in GS paper 1, okay, in GS paper 1, you have the concepts of like history, geography, and society. So the entire concept of society is overlapping with our concepts. Is that clear? Like for example, you speak about like the Indian social system or Indian society as such, or the caste, the tribal communities, or some topics even in culture, like for example, like Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic, Harappan civilization, okay, all these are part of anthropology. So can I say, except for geography, world history, post-independence history, and freedom struggle, rest of it are covered in paper 1? Yes, and you know very well for a reason, social issues are fetching you almost 9 to 10 questions every year. Right? So like almost 9 to 10 questions are are coming from society part, right? So now GS paper 1 is well covered. Okay, now coming to the other part, here there is GS paper 2. In GS paper 2, generally you have the social justice part. Yes, social justice, welfare schemes regarding vulnerables, especially like the scheduled tribes, scheduled caste, OBC, right? All these are covered in our anthropology paper. Is that clear? So everything related to this is covered in our anthropology paper completely. Okay, and moreover, coming to GS paper 3. Okay, nowadays the question is like more analytical. Like for example, even if you look in GS papers, they are demanding analytical answers. Okay, so like for example, the glacier melting, how is it going to impact the indigenous communities? Okay, just now a while ago I saw one snippet which was actually telling in Ladakh the indigenous communities are actually making some ice stupas. You know stupa, right? Okay, they are actually making ice stupas that is made up of ice. During the cold season they are making it so that during the warm season, okay, the summers, it slowly melts and provide sort of the water for the local people. Is that clear? Now, is it not related to climate change? Is it not related to the basic indigenous communities over there? So, what you can see is in GS paper 3, what you study actually in anthropology as ecological anthropology helps you write better answers related to environment. Is that clear? Helps you write better answers, especially related to environment, biodiversity, and even in economics, something called inclusive growth. Is that clear? So that is something you can see. And moreover, GS paper 4, you can actually speak about, see, there is one concept, let me tell you. There is one concept that is called ethnocentrism. Okay, ethnocentrism refers, like very simple, I feel my culture is superior to any culture. Is that clear? So that is some mindset that generally everybody will have. So any outsider comes to our culture, what we tend to do is we tend to look at their practices and start like comparing it with ours and say ours is superior, yours is something like inferior. That is called cultural relativism, what Britishers did. Correct? Yes or no? Opposite to that is like cultural relativism. Okay? Or like basically in the cultural relativism concept, what you tend to study is my culture is separate, your culture is separate. I will study my culture in the perspective of my culture. I will study your culture in the perspective of your culture. Did you understand? So now, when you actually learn this cultural relativism and all these aspects, especially with respect to tribes and all those, right? In GS paper 4 case studies, it helps you. Is that clear? Okay. So this is something that you can actually look at in terms of overlap. Is that clear? And further, when you look at this syllabus, largely, if you look at the syllabus, this is completely like you can say, oh, I'm sorry, I should have opened this. Okay, so largely if you look at, this is manageable and static syllabus. Is that clear? This is completely manageable and static syllabus. Like for example, if you take the world over, there is no much work happening in the field of anthropology. Whatever is happening, majority to an extent is happening within India. Is this clear? So now when you look at this static nature of the subject, see, very simple. You are studying one topic. Is that clear? Suddenly something happens in the news. So you have to keep this aside, learn the next topic and incorporate it. By then one more topic will be there. This is something, the problem with the dynamic subjects. So you cannot go to the level of the depth that you have to go into the optional of each topic when it is too dynamic. But in anthropology, the advantage is very simple. It is static syllabus. So it gives you a chance for venturing into the deep understanding of the topics. Is that clear? Okay. So I will tell you what is the advantage of such deep understanding later. Okay. With the session, I will actually, with the further advancement in the session, I will surely explain that part also. Okay. Now, what about the syllabus? There are roughly 12 topics in paper 1 and 9 topics in paper 2. Is that clear? We'll detailedly learn about the topics also later. But this 21 topics, that's it. Very concise, precise, that's it. That's the syllabus. Is that clear? Unlike many other subjects, you need not dwell into several, like, books or materials, or like, too much of like spending 6 hours for 6 months. No. Okay. Just 3.5 to 4 months, 6 hours daily. And the way that I tell you that method, that is more than sufficient. Is that clear? Even if you stick to like some methods, what the toppers have done, I will teach you that also in today's session, how to analyze from the toppers methods. Okay. So if you do that, that will actually bring you very close to 300 easily. Even more also, if you could do it in a dedicated manner. Okay. So now what you can see is this static nature not just allows you for deeper understanding of the subject, but also it gives you that particular like scope for repeated revisions. Yes or no? Now you tell me, do you really think UPSC is a game of learning new things every day or repeatedly revising what you have learned? Yes. So that scope is given here. Is this clear? So that scope is actually given here. And one biggest advantage of anthropology in relative analysis with any other subject, predictable questions. Okay. I will not show you anything. After this session, go back, bring last, like for example, from 2013, or let us say from 2010, bring the question papers and see how many questions are repeated. I can bet on this, the minimum is 150 marks. I am saying the worst case, that is very minimum. You will see greater than that. Is that clear? It is repeated. So many recurring themes and direct questions from PYQs. What is asked is repeated again. This advantage you won't get in any subject. Okay. No optional subject, okay, will give you this advantage. Don't tell me about like something like, literature subject. Okay. So otherwise, if you look at the major subjects that is chosen by the aspirants, be it geography, political science, or any other subjects, no other subjects gives you this. Is that clear? Okay. Now, let us look at this. So here, like, if you are ready for objective nature questions with factual accuracy, okay, yes, that is important. Factual accuracy and the strategically approaching the topics, then you're all set for a very good subject. Is this clear? And further, like, first thing is, like, let me tell you one more thing here. Yeah. Now, understanding UPSC exam pattern. So, you need to understand the structure, marking scheme, and other nuances related to anthropology. Is that clear? So now, when you look at this, of course, we have 9 papers in mains. Out of that, the 2 papers belong to the optional, right? So if you choose anthropology, paper 1, 250 marks, paper 2, 250 marks. Is that clear? And further, here, like when you look at this question paper, it is the descriptive in nature paper. Okay, the question will be given and you have to write the answer. Now, how the questions are given, let us look at that part. See, now, when you look at the questions, right? So generally, there will be 2 sections, section A and section B. Is that clear? So you'll have 4 questions here and 4 questions here. Is that clear? Out of these questions, what you can see is these 2 becomes compulsory. Okay, these 2 are compulsory. Is that clear? Majorly what they'll do is they'll ask 10 marker questions, 5 questions. Is that clear? So each question will be 50 marks. That is what will be there. Okay. Next, the next one, you have to choose 1 each from both the sections. Like let us say I choose 3rd one here and 8th one here. Okay. Now last 1 question, you can choose anywhere out of this 4. Is that clear? Last 1 question, you can choose anywhere out of this 4. Like probably I'll go with this. Okay. Or anything like that. Now, here, not just actually this internal structure that you need to understand, this gives an advantage. Now you think about this. There is one objective nature questions that is related to science. Now if you are comfortable with that, then choose that question. You will of course score more. Yes or no? Correct? There is one more, like theories, anthropological theories. There are 10 theories. If you master that, then social anthropology aspects also becomes easier. Is this clear? Okay, so this is the structure that you need to understand with respect to the UPSC exam pattern of anthropology as an optional. Is this clear? Okay, next, further. Now, let us look into the next section, that is topic wise. We will look into the next section of each of the topics that is mentioned under the syllabus. Is that clear? So now, let us deconstruct the syllabus topic by topic. Is that clear? Now, see, we can say the structure of this particular, the anthropology syllabus is very much logically constructed. It's not randomly thrown in air, but it is very logically constructed. Okay, so how? Let us look at this. Look at this. Here, see, the first block is basically, okay, the first block is basically the chapters of 1.1 to 1.8. So when you look at this here what you will understand is basically you will understand several things about our socio-cultural anthropology basics, biological anthropology basics, archaeological and linguistic anthropology basics. Is that clear? So you'll be looking into the basics. So where you will actually see that how the primates, from the primates, the humans evolved, or several sort of that particular species that came in between. Okay, and further you can also look at this, for example in your current affairs you must have seen Neanderthals or Australopithecines or hominins, something like this you must have seen in the news. So each of this relates to that particular topic called primatology. Is that clear? And apart from this, you can also see here in this only you will study about our prehistoric societies. Like I told you, the Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic, Chalcolithic, Harappan civilization and all these things. Okay, basically Harappan civilization you will not study in paper 1, you will study in paper 2. Is that clear? So these things gives you not just the biological evolution one side, but that other side, the socio-cultural evolution of the human mankind. Okay, that is something you will look into. That actually makes the foundation or the bedrock of your syllabus. Okay, it makes the bedrock of your syllabus, ideally. Is that clear? And further, the next one comes the chapters 2 to 5, that is block 2, where here the pillars of the society is very well discussed. Like what? Family. Family is part of the society, right? Kinship. Like kinship as in who are related and how they are related and in what ways they are addressed, all these things. Is that clear? Like for example, the next one will be marriage. Like for example, if you look at, let me give you a very simple example. Especially in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Okay, these states. Now, a person can marry his, cross cousin. Yes or no? Cross cousin means basically, for example, how do we say? For example, I can actually marry my mother's brother's daughter. That means mama's daughter. Right? I can marry that way. But if you go to North India, they are cousins. You cannot marry them. Okay, so she will be considered like a sister. Now that means that is something related to kinship. Is that clear? So why that way is, how it evolved like that? So such things which are basics of the society, that will be learnt under the pillars of society. That is the block 2. And not just this, for example, in several societies, the economic organization would be different. In several societies, the political organization would be different. There are societies which is basically stateless. Okay, there are societies which is properly like our governments and everything that is set up. Okay, there are societies which is completely like hunting and gathering is the prime economic aspect for them. They don't have any currency, they don't have anything, they just do the barter system, several aspects like this. So the economic organization, the political organization, the kinship, marriage, family, okay, all these concepts are actually part of the society. Very important topic, religion. Right? So how religion originated to this level, or like what are the different types of religion across the world? Okay, like for example, you can see if you go to some tribal societies, they start worshipping trees. They start worshipping some like animals. Okay, some like, I mean even in Hinduism, we worship actually snake. Yes or no? Nag Devata, right? So like we have several other things like this. So like what are these different types of religions? And some scholars have given like how it has evolved, what is the reason for something called religion, all these things some scholars have spoken about. That also we will actually learn. Is this clear? Okay, so that is something you learn here in the particular block 2. Is this clear? Next, the block 3 is chapter 6 to 8. Now, this is something where you learn about the scholar's ideology. Is that clear? That's why it is named anthropological lens. You start looking at every simple thing in the society through the scholar's approach. Okay, like for example, why a particular method of marriage is seen in few particular societies. Okay, like for example, let me give you a very simple example which is very that is the standard of anthropology, that is a standard example. Okay, but don't ask this to the contemporary society, they might not be aware of this. You know Nayars of Kerala? Nayars in Kerala. So in the olden days, okay, they had a different system of marriage. Okay, now what is that type of marriage was? Basically because of the prevalent occupation and several other aspects. Everything was held by women. It's a matriarchal society. And the marriage was also made in that format that the husband, after tying that tali, right? So after tying that tali, he will be there for a day or two, and then the next time the wife would meet the husband is on his death. Okay, yeah. So now it might sound something different and weird, but there were certain reasons behind such particular marriage. Okay, so what you can see is every society has several changes like this. Okay, like there are some societies in Northeast, especially Meghalaya. Societies even today follow matriarchal. Okay, and like there are some societies who are actually following even today, like once the husband, the bride is married to the bridegroom, all the brothers are her husband. There are some societies like that. Okay, now like there are some societies where, for example, let us say now, for example, I marry one, one woman. Okay, and if, for example, suppose the bridegroom or husband or wife, okay, in some societies, if the wife dies, the, father-in-law has the responsibility to replace with the next kid. Like the wife's sister will be the wife of the person. Okay, vice versa also are there. Okay, now when you look at this, these things actually enlarges your thought process and enlarges your cultural tolerance, which is very important for an administrator. Yes or no? Tomorrow, once you become an IAS officer and you're, let us say, posted in some tribal dominating state, and you see their practice and you cannot actually throw some tantrums on their practice, right? So these things enlarges your mindset. Is that clear? Now, why such things are happening? That is actually seen through some scholars who had stayed in those societies, documented several reasons, their observations, and study. And there are few scholars who have studied several societies by the works of others, and they have documented their own ways of looking at that perspectives. Their own perspectives. So that when you learn as a core, this becomes the core. Okay, that anthropological lens, or basically we'll call it as theories. Okay, when you learn these theories, this will be applied here, this will be applied in paper 2, and this can be applied everywhere to actually give you a better score. Only 10 theories are there. Is that clear? Did you understand? And while actually giving up when they are coming up with this particular perspectives, they should have documented some observations. How do they do that? Do they go for the field work, or they read the sources that is printed by others, or they actually participate as a part of that particular society, or they stand in that society as an outsider and look at it? All these things are studied under this topics only. Did you understand? Okay, is this clear? So that is something that you see with respect to the block 3. Is that clear? Last, block 4. This is the biological human. Okay, if in my perspective, if you ask me, sir, which is the most scoring aspect? Okay, I would tell you, I will give you in detail which parts are very scoring. This is something very scoring, followed by this. Okay, so if you master these two topics, I can bet nobody can stop you less than 250. At scores less than 250, worst case. Okay, that's the simple thing. Why? What do you have in this biological human? Here, you will be studying several things like Mendelian genetics, population genetics, okay, or like, for example, human growth and development. You can actually see, like, for example, observe yourself. Okay, how was your bodily growth, especially when you were in the time period between the teens? Okay, let us say teens. Okay, like 12, 13 to 18, right? You would have seen like the growth would have been very high. Like, for example, let us say you have a sister. Your sister would have grown more than you during the teenage than yourself. Why? Why women grow faster during the teenage than men? Okay, so what happens? Or like, let us say a baby. Okay, how it is growing in the mother's womb. Okay, how it grows once it comes out. Okay, so like from there till the death. So that is human development, human growth. Okay, that is some, you must have seen, there are some NGOs, right? So these NGOs who are actually feeding the poor people, malnourished people, you can actually see, they will show some pictures. A small child with complete, like, showing its ribs and all those. But after 6 months, after 1 year, the same child is healthy. Okay, how? So they should know to get that catch-up growth, what should be fed, how they should be fed, all these things. So all these becomes a part of learning here. Okay, so tomorrow you become an IAS officer, it becomes very much important for you to actually look into these aspects. Correct? And so this is the most scoring aspect, where also one more thing, like for example, applications level. You know the cockpit in the fighter jets and all those, you have the cockpit, right? So like now, for example, if you take some, like let us say some Russians or some, like, you know, some other Caucasoids or some other breed, you'll see they're very tall. Okay, so the cockpit for them will not be designed the same way for Indians or for Chinese, right? So different people have different, like, you know, the body measurements and everything. So now that application is also part of anthropology. Otherwise, let me tell you a very simple thing. There is something called ergonomics. Ergonomics and Rengota, like basic thing. Here, you go to some, like for example, you go to Featherlight. Featherlight is the company that actually makes the chairs and all those, no, desk and all. There, if you go to that particular thing, they'll tell you, oh, you have a back pain, you have some back pain, chalo, you buy this chair, this will actually support you. You sit on it, very comfortable. Yes or no? Like proper body measurements. That is the part of anthropology again. Or the bat measurements, cricket bat. Okay, like for example, the cricket bat for Indians is of a different measurement, or like for people like Chris Gale, okay, and this West Indians peoples, right? They cannot like sort of like hold, it looks very tiny for them. They are so tall and all those. So there also applications of anthropology is there. Is that clear? So like basically not just this, you take forensic anthropology. In forensic anthropology, like for example, like you can check the blood groups, okay, and like even parental diagnosis, I mean paternity diagnosis, okay. So like DNA technology, several things you'll be studying here. That is completely the science, objective science. Is this clear? So this is very important in terms of scoring. Okay, this is very important in terms of scoring. And next, so what you can see here, very simple thing, the block 1 becomes the basis for these 3 blocks. Is that clear? Block 1 becomes the basis for the rest 3 blocks. Here, like for example, to understand, like let us say like this, and one more thing also I'll add to this, when you understand these 4 blocks thoroughly, paper 2 is just application of it at Indian context. Okay, I'll make you aware of this right today, which for this year 2025 means aspirants is an approach to write your answer. Okay, I've integrated both the aspects, so you should look into that perspective. Okay, next. So basically you cannot recognize as a disjointed topics. You have to look into each of this as integrated ones. Okay, so that is something that we need to look at. Is this clear? Understood so far? Okay, yeah. Next. Now, this is the part 2, I mean paper 2. Is that clear? Here, when you look at paper 2, very simple, there are 2 topics. Okay, one, the Indian context, that is chapters 1 to 5. Okay, like for example, you must have studied about, like in the first paper, you will study about the primatology, right? Like for example, several hominins and all those. Okay, like now you will apply that and you will learn in the Indian context if there are any fossil evidences in India discovered. Okay, and what are the characteristics of it? Where do we put it in the phylogenetic status? Okay, so something like that. You will actually look into, like for example, in India, we have an paleoanthropological evidence that is called Narmada man. Okay, Narmada man. So we'll study about that. Is that clear? And similarly, like for example, the other part, like for example, you studied the socio-cultural evolution in paper 1, like Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic, right? Now, these things in India. Is that clear? The same evolution in India. Also like Harappan civilization and further. Okay, that is something that you will learn. And moreover, like for example, Indian society, you must have heard about like something called Varnashrama. You have heard about Varnashrama? No? Brahmacharya, Grihasthrashrama, okay, so Sannyasa, all these things. So that is Varnashrama. Is that clear? So we'll study about that. Is that clear? And caste system, how did it evolve? What was the reason? Why exactly we have a caste system? What is the function? If you go back to caste system, right, every caste is associated with one or the other occupation. Yes or no? Correct? Like for example, Brahmins, teaching, right? Brahmins, like in the temple, like Pujari. Okay. Next, again you come down to Vaishyas, trading community, right? So you come down to Gaudas. Gaudas are basically agriculturist. Yes or no? Reddis, agriculturist. Okay. So like this, you have each particular community related to some occupation. Okay. Now that means there is some link. Yes or no? So we'll study about that in the Indian society context. Is that clear? And apart from that, and also you can see basically something like the village studies also will study related to village, like several, like emergence of anthropology in India and how exactly in villages several things are practiced. Like for example, there is one scholar who is from Karnataka who is very well renowned scholar, Mysore Narsimhachari Srinivas, M.N. Srinivas. Okay, if you go to Mysore University, he is the biggest stalwart of that particular university. His name is so wide in that university, and not just University of Mysore, but in the kingdom of anthropology in India, he is one of the biggest name. Is that clear? So you'll study about him. Okay, so the concepts of Sanskritization. Okay, the concepts, several concepts he is given. Okay, like book view, field view, several like observations and research methods. He's given a lot. His contributions are high. So such scholars also will study here. But to understand that scholars, you have to understand the previous one. What was the scholars of the world? Okay, what were their views? So that ways. Okay, and further, this is the most scoring section in this paper too. Okay, here what you will study is basically like that will help you. It's okay, let us say that's your theoretical playground to become an administrator in the future. Like how? Like basically here you will study the demographic characteristics of the tribes. Okay, which state, which tribe, what are their demographic characteristics, what are their socio-cultural characteristics, and what exactly are the different types of kinds of problems they are undergoing, like health issues, or like for example poverty, land alienation, or like several indebtedness, everything. Okay, so you'll understand the problems, and also you will look into the developmental projects in the regions, how exactly it is impacting those tribes, and also something like forest policies, okay, and several urbanization, industrialization, and different religions, how they are impacting the tribes, okay, and all these things you will understand, and also study about the various, like, array of the solutions that the government has brought in terms of constitutional safeguards, programs, policies, and everything, and how they can be changed, or how they can be actually amended, what needs to be amended, everything is the analysis here. Is that clear? So completely, very much extensive understanding of this particular topic, that is just the 6 to 9 of paper 2, will help you write GS paper 1, GS paper 2, GS paper 3, and also GS paper 4, like the ones that we studied already. I told you about it, like what exactly it can be, where exactly it is having an overlap. So this especially it helps here. Okay, especially it helps here, and also any tribal related things in GS paper 4. Is this clear? Okay, so this is how we could decode the entire syllabus of anthropology. Did you understand? So in paper 1, how many modules you had? 4. In paper 2, how many modules? 2. 6 modules, 3 months or maximum 4 months, done. So no other subject can give you this benefit. Is that clear? And apart from this, now let us understand further. Okay, like this small syllabus, how students take it in a wrong way, that I will explain. Okay, now let us look at that. How you can actually convert this into a high scoring framework or high scoring subject, and how you can destroy it into a low scoring subject also, I'll tell you. Okay, if I tell you about the strategy for high scoring, okay, that is more than sufficient for you to understand what not to do. And this becomes very important for the students who are writing this year. Is that clear? From now it gets very important for those who are writing this year. Okay, now to start with, firstly, resource list. Don't build a library back at home. Okay, don't build a library back at home. This is the simple thing. Very limited resources, multiple revisions, interlinking paper 1 to paper 2, paper 2 to paper 1. That's it. You will get 300 plus. Is that clear? I will discuss the entire strategy today. Okay, so now when you look at this here, in market you have good number of books in the market. Okay, but I would want you to just limit yourself to the set of core foundational books and some value addition books. That's it, nothing more than this. Okay, several students have asked me about the book list, and for those students also this helps. Is that clear? So now when you look at this here, see, firstly, now see, this is the same thing I have told. Avoid overwhelming books. Okay, basically limited set of core textbooks and with specific resources, that is value addition. That's it. And structured approach, that is the same thing I have written here. Okay, primary source plus value addition. That's it. Okay, now let us look at that. Here is your list. Okay, now look at this. See, first, if you look at the socio-cultural anthropology, okay, if you look at the socio-cultural anthropology, the first thing that I would suggest is go for this Introduction of Social Anthropology by D.N. Majumdar and T.N. Madan. Okay, this is a very good book. Okay, this book is sufficient. And Secondly, you have Anthropology by Ember and Ember. This is the value addition book actually. Is that clear? Once you are confirm or once you are confident about the topics, then that topic you can add value addition. What to add in the value addition, that also I'll tell you, like diagrams, flow charts, or whatever it is, that you can do it from Ember. Okay, examples, all these things. It gives you very good world over global examples. Ember and Ember gives you that. Okay, next, if for example you don't want to go with this, then okay, I mean this is the best source I would suggest. Okay, I mean you should go with this. And apart from that, I told you about the module 3 anthropological theories. Okay, so for that you have Makanja. Okay, there's a book by Makanja, it's a small book. Okay, that is very good. But if you don't want to go for that, there is one more book that is by Gaya and Pandey, but it is bulky. So it's better to stick to Makanja. Okay, and once this is over, like you study this, you update with this particular like examples and all, then you have the Anthropology Simplified by Vivek Bhasme. Okay, this is like question and answer format that gives you like topper's approach. Is this clear? So what you can learn from this is basically you will learn the foundational concepts of each of that particular mentioned in syllabus. Okay, and once that is over, you get some global case studies, that is value addition. Okay, and then you actually get theories, clarity, and you keep revising. That's it. That is for the socio-cultural anthro. Okay, why have I integrated theories here? Because, for example, like let us say one theorist, okay, says marriage is happening in this society because of this particular reason. Now, marriage topic actually deals with the same. You can integrate them, right? So that integration becomes easier. Is that clear? I'll give you examples in the same session. You will look into it. Okay, next, physical anthro. There is one book by Pinath. It's this thick, okay, but small book. I mean, in terms of size, this much. Thickness is this much. Not entire book is important. Selective reading. Is that clear? And apart from that, same Vivek Bhasme again. I told you here, the topper's copy. Okay, same Vivek Bhasme. You can look into the question and answers. Done. Okay, beyond this, what you will learn here? You will learn everything related to physical anthro, like basically the evolution, okay, Darwinism, neo-Darwinism, everything, and genetics, growth, the human development and growth, and also you will study including diagrams also there, but further you can actually make your own flowcharts that will be taught. Okay, further you can draw the flowcharts, diagrams and everything, practice them repeatedly. Yes, bang, you have 100+ marks here. Is that clear? See, I'm telling you again, if you come into this subject without any phobia for science, it's a golden platter for you. Okay, if you come into this subject without any phobia, it's a golden platter for you. That's like scoring. Okay, the amount of time you save here can be added to enhance your GS subjects. Is that clear? Next, apart from this, now you can look at this part, archaeology. Okay, archaeology I've told you, right? Archaeological anthro, like basically that lithic age and everything. So there you will actually, basically the Indian prehistory as well as the world level. Okay, so like Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic, Chalcolithic and all these things. Okay, so archaeology, you have one book by D.K. Bhattacharya. That one book is sufficient. Within that also not completely selective reading. Is that clear? So, and apart from that, okay, sometimes you might feel this is overwhelming. Okay, so one best source, government source, IGNOU. IGNOU MA material is there. Okay, that is more than sufficient. You just go onto the Google and type, you will get this. Because IGNOU themselves actually release these materials. On their website you can search. Okay, so you will learn about Indian prehistory and world prehistory and you can equate it and play with the question easily. Right? So they ask you something about the world prehistory, like something related to Neolithic age. You write completely about the world history and give the examples of Indian. They ask you about India, you give examples little bit like this happened in the world, but India happened to do this. Okay, that is something, is the game that you can play between. Okay, Did you understand this much? Okay, next. Further. Here, you have for optional paper 2. Okay, for paper 2. Here, see, Indian society and caste. I told you, like in India also, we have, like basically within Indian society, there are several aspects that you can see. Okay, like I've told you, like basically when you look at the Indian society and caste, there are the social structure of India. Okay, the caste system in India. Like for example, you have, like for example, let me give you one simple interesting aspect. You have one theory which says there is a superhuman, or like let us say a godly creature or divine creature. Okay, so from the divine creature, from the tongue of the divine creature, the Brahmins emerged. Okay, from the shoulders, the Kshatriyas. From the thighs are the Vaishyas. From the feet are the Shudras. This is one theory. So there are several theories there are across where you can see different theories give you different perspectives about the origin of caste system in India. Some say it came from outside Indian territory. Okay, so like this, all these things are studied here. So the best book is Indian Anthropology by Nadeem Hasnain. That is very good. Otherwise, I would suggest go for the Social Change in Modern India by M.N. Srinivas. Very good book. Okay, so along with that, I guess this book, along with that, you can go for Indian Society by Ram Ahuja. You'll learn several concepts of Indian society. Okay, like the social structure, sociological insights on social change, what is changing today, what was there before, and this change, how will it impact? Everything can be studied. That's what are the questions are. Okay, next, coming to tribal India, I told you about the tribal, that portion 6 to 8. Okay, module 2 of paper 2. That is the same thing. Here, you have very good book by Nadeem Hasnain, Tribal India. That is a good book. You can also follow the tribal culture of India by LP Vidyarthi. Okay, so apart from this, here, the most dynamic part comes here, which is also not dynamic, I'll tell you. Okay, that is, you'll have to go for the Ministry of Tribal Affairs website. Annual summary you have to read. That's the dynamism. Okay, and apart from that, you have Kaka committee report. Okay, that is one report that you need to study. Okay, and there are Yojana issues selectively on tribes. Once in a while it comes, you'll have to read that. Okay, and here that gives you more about the case studies, perspectives, data, schemes, and all those things regarding the tribes. That is something that you will learn. And so basically, this is your complete book list. Hardly there are 10 books. Okay, hardly 10 books. That's it. Okay, it's not that easy also. Don't take it granted. Okay, it's not that easy also. 10 books. But of course, it is easier than other subjects. Okay, yeah. Now, then you can revise. You can actually, there are toppers who have given the question and answer format. Akshat Jain. Okay, he has his book Anthropology Demystified. You have Vivek Basme. Okay, Anthropology Simplified. Okay, you can get those books. You can actually revise. You can make your own like question bank of the previous year questions because it is repetitive in nature. Okay, get some insights from these books, more than sufficient. Okay, and further, like you can also take coaching material, like for example, even Vision IS also has some value addition material. Okay, that also you can use. Okay, so that shall be very much important because this is the phase where after your in-depth understanding, you're going for value addition. That defines your difference from other aspirants who has anthropology again. Okay, so where you'll go for flowcharts, diagrams, and like, you know, some other like, you know, structuring of the answers, good introduction. Even you have an advantage in this subject. You can frame your introduction and conclusion beforehand. Okay, ready-made introduction, conclusion, you can keep it beforehand. That is the advantage you have. Okay, and so again, digital resources are also there. Okay, so like EPG Patashala, okay, this is IGNOU materials and everything you'll get there. And apart from that, you have newspapers, of course. Newspapers, several times, like for example, there are certain things like UCC, Uniform Civil Code, okay, and several tribal issues, like for example, Niyamgiri Hills, okay, where bauxite mining was happening. It was actually sort of messing up with the tribe's culture. Okay, so such things will help you when you go through the newspapers and the magazine, Yojana. Okay, so that is something that you can look into. Is this clear? That's the book list for anthropology. Clear? Clear with this? Yeah. Next. Here comes the next one. Here, basically, like how do you make the notes? Okay, like what exactly is that art of intelligent note making from linear notes to thematic frameworks? Okay, here what you can see is the note making in anthropology is like the pre-written answers for your optional paper. Okay, it's not something like just the formal copy paste of your topics. This will be the pre-written answers for your exam. Okay, how? Like basically, when you look at this, firstly, when you are reading those basic books which I gave you, okay, like for example, let us say Peanath. Okay, Peanath is physical anthropology book. Okay, when you read there, you will actually learn the concepts, you will make the notes. And when you make the notes, preferably try to make the notes in like, you know, that spiral books so that you can add the sheets. Is that clear? Or you can do it digital copies also, like OneNote, Evernote, or so many are there. So you can use that. Okay. So now once you read that basic book, and then comes the value addition, where in the value addition, like I told you, for example, if you are studying like Makhanja, okay, theories, or Madan and Majumdar, that book you are studying for socio-cultural. Once you have read the topic, that is basic notes. Now, value addition, when you are going, go for Ember and Ember, get the global examples, add into it. Okay, make some flowcharts. Okay, and if it is for physical anthropology, get some examples from, like, you know, the science part that is happening across the world, like genetics, okay, surrogacy, or like several other test tube babies. So many other things are there. So you can look into those. Okay, keep adding. That is value addition. In the value addition, even government reports will help you, like Tribal India. Okay, so that is something. And then now the primary book is over, value addition is over. Pick up the previous year question papers and start writing answers. Introduction, conclusion also over. That's your anthropology. Simple. Okay, so now like basically, like when you are going for the third stage, when you are looking into consolidation of these topics into question and answer format, you have toppers copy, you have toppers written books also, like Akshit Jain's Demystified, and also Vivek Bashme's Simplified. Okay, these books will help you to give you that particular approach also. And also we'll be dealing in the class very much particularly about this. Okay, so now when you actually look at value addition, what exactly are you adding? Okay, there is one particular aspect, okay, that is first one, thinkers. Okay, don't always quote one single anthropologist for everything. Is that clear? Don't do that mistake. And what you do is, when you're quoting anthropologist also, what generally students do is just naming him, that's it. No. When you are actually sort of quoting an anthropologist, what you should do is basically, you should mention with what topic he is associated, and you should also mention like the specific theoretical like contribution of him, and also his work in which society or which tribal community, and in which year, his book also. Okay, his book also. These things will actually add value to your notes. Secondly, now case studies are very important. Like one, in the Indian context, you need to have several examples or case studies. In the global context also, you need to have it. Is that clear? Both of them, in each topic, if you have 3 or 2 global, 3 or 2 Indian, more than sufficient. Is that clear? And further, here from, like for example, there will be several things. Like for example, if you consider a ritual, there are series of steps that you follow in a ritual, right? Those series of steps, when you are writing in an answer, why do you have to write it in a paragraph? Write it in a flowchart. Gets easier. Draw diagrams. Easier in terms of physical anthropology, right? So diagrams, flowcharts, you can well practice it before and make it in the question and answer format. Consolidation. This is something this year main students also should do. Okay, they must have done it by now. If you have not done it, you still have 1 month more. Is that clear? Okay, so next, apart from this, now comes the next section. How do you actually interlink paper 1 and paper 2? Or let us look into interlinking of paper 1 and paper 2 little later, but I will tell you, like when your value addition is over, okay, now you can actually maintain a separate notes where you can identify the topics from paper 1 that can be used as examples in paper 2, paper 2 that can be used in paper 1. Is that clear? So all these things is possible only because of the limited nature of the syllabus. Is that clear? And further, if you look at this here, like let us go into the next one. Oh, sorry. See, now like the next topic that I need to tell you here is like that particular strategy that gives you an idea of like scoring higher. Okay, that strategy of basically scoring higher. That is what you need to know. Here, let us use the Pareto principle. You know what is Pareto principle? Yeah, 80-20 rule. You focus on the 20% that gives you 80%, right? So you can identify those topics in anthropology which are high scoring, very high scoring. Okay, and those topics you focus more and make these like consolidations and everything ready. That will actually give you the best score. Yes or no? That advantage you have it here. Like how? Like firstly, if you like my analysis since 1985 of this paper, I will point out few topics that is the high scoring. Okay, so like for example, I told you anthropological lens, that anthropological theories, topic 6, chapter 6, 10 theories. Okay, and apart from that, in the physical anthropology, that is the module 4 which we saw, 9 to 12 and 1.4 to 1.8. That is the second shot. Okay, so these especially 9 to 12 also I will not tell you. I will tell you 1.4 to 1.8 where primatology is there, evolution parts are there, and topic number 9. That's it. Okay, so 1.4 to 1.8, topic number 6, topic number 9, paper 1. Very important. Is that clear? And along with that, okay, society, there is topic number 2. So 1.4 to 1.8, topic number 2, topic number 6, topic number 9. 4 topics out of 12. Okay, 4 topics out of 12. High scoring. Very high scoring, repeated questions from this section. Is this clear? And further, now coming down to paper 2, you already know, I've told you several times, 6 to 9, tribal India. Okay, so you tell me now, paper 2, 4 topics, paper 1, 4 topics. You can easily score more than 200. You want 100 more, then little more focus. That's it. I'm saying the worst case scenario, but you can easily score more than 250 also with this topics. Okay, so here when you look at this, the examination has shown a trend. Okay, almost like up to like 2015, 2017. Okay, the questions were simple, direct and definition based questions. Explain functionalism. Explain like explain about the universal definition, explain the probability of universal definition of marriage. Okay, explain Mendelian genetics, write a note on Mendelian genetics. Darwinism. Okay, or like this is what they have asked. Is this clear? This is what they have asked till almost 2015. But now recently they have changed the trend. They have made it little more analytical. Okay, and they have actually sort of asked you to critically analyze the topics and write your perspectives. Like for example, I'll give you this. Like, how has globalization impacted the village economies? Okay, how has globalization impacting the village economies in India? How is the climate change responsibly, or else let us say, how is actually the climate change impacting the indigenous communities in the Himalayan region? Okay, so these are some questions they're asking. Is that clear? Does it sound more like general studies question? Yes or no? So can we actually learn the concepts and put it in general studies also? Like the examples that we study here, if we need not mention the scholars. If we mention the examples there, that is going to give an edge in GS. Yes or no? if we write scholars, it seems like, okay, we are writing some, like, not the general answer. But if I give example, that is a substantiation. Correct? Yes or no? So that is something that you can see. Now, within this, to make you comfortable, I have actually, see, this is what I told you. See, topic number 1.4 to 1.6, topic number 6, topic number 9, and social institutions. 4 topics I told you, 4 topics. Correct? Paper 2, I told you, chapter 6, 7, 9. Okay, so that is one thing, and social system you have 3 and 5. Okay, yeah, these are the ones. Is that clear? So that's what I'm saying. The limited attention, Pareto principle, if you read this much thoroughly, it gives you maximum score. 250 is achievable. Is that clear? Because I am not telling anything. You write it down today. Okay, after the session, write down as an assignment, go back and take this, take a screenshot of this, okay, and go back and check how many questions have come each year from these topics and what is the weightage. Just do this much. Is that clear? You can take a screenshot of this. Okay, so do this much. You'll understand what is the importance of Pareto principle here. Okay, clear with this? Next. So now, I told you about the changing trends in the question types. That also I have told you. Is that clear? Like indirect, they were actually very direct, definition based, or like simple questions till 2015 to 17. But now they have become little more analytical and interlinking. Okay, I gave you the examples also. Okay, now let me show you one more thing here. Look at this. What I have showed you in the previous slide is actually well explained here. Okay, look at this. Anthropological theories, chapter 6. Okay, paper 1, very high frequency. They keep asking questions every year. Okay, what sort of questions? They'll ask, explain the theory of classical evolutionism. Explain the theory of structuralism. Explain the theory of culture, personality, school. Okay, so direct questions. Or they will ask you to use the theory to analyze some scenario. Applied questions. Or they will ask you to actually compare and contrast functionalism versus structuralism. Okay, they'll ask you to compare and contrast. These are the different types of questions they have asked since 1985. Okay, 1985. I'm speaking about 40 years. Yes or no? 40 years, no, approximately. Yes. Is that clear? Now, so here all the schools are important. There is all the 10 theories are important. No selective study there. Is that clear? Already we have done sufficient selective study. Okay, so not beyond that. Will not be so lazy. Okay, next. Now, this is very important for this year who are giving mains. You need to focus on these topics first. That's what it means when we are discussing this. Okay, so because there are online people also, so that's why I'm mentioning this. Second one, again, very high frequency, paper 1, human evolution. What are the topics I told you? Chapter 1.4 to 1.6. Okay, here, very static question, factual question, and diagrams are necessary. Okay, they will just ask you to write about Darwinism, synthetic theory of evolution, phylogenetic status, or physical and cultural features of some particular, like, fossil evidence, okay, or the distribution of them, like, for example, Homo erectus, okay, Neanderthals, Australopithecines, or anything like that they will ask you. Very simple, direct question, nothing new to study there. Okay, you frame the standard answer, go and vomit the same thing in your paper. That's it. Okay, clear? And very high frequency. Is that clear? It's very high frequency. Next. Human genetics, chapter 9. Did I tell you this point? I've told you about chapter 9. Human genetics, high. This is also again static. Objective questions, what will they ask more? Okay, so static. Here, they will ask you about several things like genetic polymorphism or chromosomal aberrations, like there are different diseases, Down syndrome, Turner syndrome, okay, and like several other diseases are there, you will be studying about those. That's it. Okay, next, social institutions, chapter 2. These are not very high frequency, these are high frequency topics. Okay, relatively those two topics are very high frequency. This is high frequency topics. Here they will ask you conceptual clarity about a topic, or comparative analysis, or applied concepts. That's it. Like regarding marriage, family, kinship and all those. Is that clear? I'll give you examples of this. We'll discuss the topics. I'll give you the examples of this. Okay, so like for example, I gave you that example of the different types of marriages in North India and South India, right? So like this, that is what they will ask you. Okay, so next, further, come down to this. This is tribal India. This is very high frequency again. Third topic under very high frequency. Okay, here you will have most of the questions that is analytical or like applied dynamics. Okay, because this section is also part that is very dynamic, that is bringing most, I mean, at least like 30% of the content from the current affairs. Is that clear? Because you learn this in your administration, it helps you. You can actually look at several tribal related, scheduled caste related, OBC related programs, and everything that comes is related to the study of the anthropologists. There is the inputs from the anthropologists. Is that clear? So you will study about the tribal problems and what are its solutions. There are constitutional safeguards, 5th schedule, 6th schedule, you must have studied in polity. Okay, and there are like PVTGs, you must have heard, particularly vulnerable tribal groups. That is actually the government of India has identified certain tribes because they are more vulnerable than the rest of the tribes, and role of certain anthropological developments, Forest Rights Act and several other things, NGOs and several other things you will be studying here, and that analysis is asked. Is that clear? Very high frequency question. Next, last one. Here, Indian social system, chapter 3 to 5. Here you will be studying about, I told you, like several things, like like for example, there is something called, within our caste system, there is something called higher caste in terms of hierarchy and dominant caste, that is separate. Okay, for example, you take Andhra Pradesh. Okay, Reddys and Naidus are basically like Kamma Naidu and Kapu Naidu, so many different types are there. So like Reddys and Kammas are basically the dominant caste, right? But in the hierarchy that you look at, like Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Reddys and the Kammas are not part of the Brahmins. Okay, but they are dominant caste. You take Karnataka, Gaudas and Lingayats, dominant caste. Correct? You go to like Haryana, Jats. Okay, you come down to like UP, you have Thakurs and Brahmins. Okay, so you go to like Gujarat, Patil. Okay, you come down to like, for example, Maharashtra, again you have like, sort of these, Kshatriyas community very strong there, Marathas. Okay, so like this, you have each of the state having a dominant caste. So such things will be studying. Village studies will be studying. Tribe caste continuum will be studying. Okay, several tribes, they follow the pattern of a caste. Okay, they follow rituals of caste. That is called tribe caste continuum. And judge money system. Okay, judge money matlab, like if you go to villages, okay, the entire village would call one person as Yajman. Right? Yajman or Judgman, they are the same. So the person is Judgman and all others who are providing services to him, like maybe he's a barber, maybe he cleans his home, or maybe he's like agricultural laborer who works for him. Everyone, that there is a sort of interdependence on that judgment or Yajman, right? So all that is called judge money system. Okay, like this, several things are there that we'll be studying under this particular Indian social system. This is also very high frequency topic. Is that clear? And next is Indian archaeology. Archaeology, I have told you regarding the Mesolithic, Paleolithic, Neolithic, Chalcolithic and all Bronze Age, Iron Age. Okay, so that high, and it is actually factual. What is there that they will ask you, you give the characteristics and come out. That's it. Is that clear? So next, and you need to know very good maps for this, distribution of the places. Okay, and further you have applied anthropology. This is the least important topic out of all. Okay, so here you will be looking at, I told you, ergonomics, cockpit design, bat, okay, hockey sticks, all these things. Okay, that is like forensic anthropology, all these things comes under here. Applied anthropology. This is your syllabus based on the importance, Pareto principle. That's it. So you know how many topics are very high? 1, okay, 2, 4, 3 and 4. 4 topics, these are very high. Chances of these questions, very high. And what sort of questions, that also mentioned here. Anything more than this? Nothing. It's a complete, like, you know, at the granular level, I've disintegrated, chopped it, and I'm presenting it to you. Is that clear? Okay, so this is what you can see here. Clear? Okay, next. So, now, okay, so ideally, what should I suggest you, saying that you need to prioritize to become a, like, you know, a top scorer? Physical anthropology, you should be a master. Is that clear? And along with that, tribal India, you should focus very well. 2 things. And adding to this, one more I have not added here, that is theories. 3 things. Okay, theories, physical anthro from paper 1, tribal India from paper 2. You will score easily above the average. Now did you understand why exactly this is most chosen subject and also the top scoring subject? Did you understand now? Clear with this? This clarity you cannot get in any other subject. They cannot define saying that these are the sections where you will get more number of questions. Now second thing, even when you look at this, like for changing it also, there is no much dynamic, like, you know, happenings across the world regarding anthropology. That's something that is making this subject a static and one of the best, like, you know, what do you say, serving out of all the subjects that an aspirant can get. Is that clear? Okay, now let's go to the next. Now, here, is it sufficient for you to have the knowledge? No. You should also know that because knowledge alone is insufficient, what is important is the writing skills. Okay. Again, this is for this year 2025 main students also. Is that clear? Mainly for them. Okay. So, look at this. Here, when we look at this part, like, let me tell you one simple aspect here. Like, when you look at this, the art of writing answers, okay, the first thing is introduction. Introduction is what catches the eyes of the evaluator. That is what pleases your score. I mean, your examiner to give you the score. Very simple. Your introduction should be sharp and impactful. Is that clear? Your introduction should be sharp and impactful. Like what? You start anything, like for example, let us say you are actually writing something about a theory or something from the socio-cultural anthropology. Now, in such case, start with a scholarly definition. They're asking about culture. Then what you should do is basically E.B. Taylor's standard classic definition is there, mention that. And say he has actually presented this definition in his book Primitive Culture. Okay. So, right, it was published in 1871. Now you tell me, does it not give you, like, I mean, if I have written this and you are evaluating, does it not give you an impression that I know something about the subject in particular? When I am able to write the book of the scholar and where he is mentioned, what is that important definition, and also the time period when he has published that book. That actually sort of demonstrates that I have sufficient good hold on the subject. Yes or no? Right? So, always start with a sharp and impactful introduction. Okay. And further, now coming down to the body. Okay. So, when you come down to the body, here your body should be well structured and it should directly address the demand of the question. Okay. If the demand of the question has 3 parts, make 3 subheadings and address all the 3. And preferably, this thing, like, who are my classroom students, they know that even in geography, I have told you not to write paragraphs but to write pointers. The same logic applies here. Write in points that gains the attention of the evaluator. Okay. easy to read and very simply presented instead of worrying about connecting the statements and all those. Okay, this gets easier. Yes or no? So now make subheadings. Each part of the demand of the question, make separate subheadings, put it in concise format in pointers. Is that clear? Did you understand? And further, now once you have put that, you also substantiate your demand of the question. How? Like you will substantiate with several things like thinker's name. Okay, you will substantiate saying this thinker has spoken about this part, or you will actually speak about a particular case study or an example that you have studied in the recent current affairs or somewhere. Okay, or you can write a diagram, you can give stats. If for example you are speaking about tribal issues, speak about how land delineation has impacted a particular tribe. Okay, like Niyamgiri Hills bauxite mining. Okay, the tribes were asked to evacuate, displaced from that region. Land delineation again. Okay, so unemployment issues. So you give the examples like this, that is substantiation. Okay, that comes in your body. And conclusion. See, conclusion always, what you can do is don't write a summary of what you have written above, but relate the context and demand of the question with the contemporary issues. Is that clear? Relate them with how exactly you can bring its relevance towards the administration angle. So get some conclusions like this. Is that clear? So that will give a very good conclusion. This is the superstructure that you can put for an answer. Is that clear? So when you do this that ways, like the chances of keeping your answer more logical and structured is the key to get a better score. Is that clear? Did you understand? A sharp and impactful introduction. Okay, so definition, data, origin, okay, something like this, and also about the thinker, his book, his contribution, something like this. And the body should be having like the basic things like the demand of the question broken into subheadings. Each of the subheading should address the concept through pointer format with proper substantiation. And conclusion is not a summary of what you have written, but conclusion should always be in terms of helping the policy making, administration, or contemporary relevance. This is a structured answer. Okay, and further, like the most important aspect here is the time management. Okay, so you have 180 minutes to write 250 marks. Okay, so roughly like you will have like 7 minutes for a 10 marker question and 11 minutes for a 15 marker question. And in the gap, you should also choose the right question. Okay, I told you the structure of the exam. Okay, you'll have to choose the right question in that gap. And choosing any wrong question is very suicidal. I mean to say, in terms of score. Is that clear? Detrimental. So, this is something that you need to look at. Okay, now let me take you further into the aspects of value addition. How, like, because for this year mains students, this becomes quite important. So that's the reason. Like value addition, how will you do? What is an excellent way of value addition? First one, when you look at the value addition, there are three things: thinkers, case study, diagrams. Is that clear? This is applicable equally for those who are preparing for 26 and later exams, also for those who are writing this year. Okay, so I spoke about value addition in the answers. So firstly, like you should actually write about the thinkers, where you actually demonstrate that actually sort of when you write about the thinkers, that demonstrates your hold on the subject. Is that clear? That demonstrates your hold on the subject. Very simply, like let me tell you, like for example, like I told you about the E.B. Taylor's, correct? So E.B. Taylor's culture definition, his book and the year in which he published it. So these are some things that you need to write with. For example, otherwise you can also write about like the tribe in which that particular thinker happened to, like not E.B. Taylor, but any thinker you are mentioning, the tribe in which particular tribal society he happened to conduct his work or make his studies, that is something else that you can also mention. Okay, and further you can also think about the second part, that is case studies. Case studies are of two types. Indian, global. Okay, so get a blend of both of it. In paper 1, try to mention along with the global examples some Indian examples. In paper 2, try to mention along with Indian examples some global examples. Is that clear? Like, for example, you can mention about, like, when you are writing about judge money system, I told you, right? In judge money system, what happens? Like, for example, let us say I'm an agricultural labor and there is the judgment of my village. Okay, I offer my, like, manual, I mean, that particular agricultural labor to in his fields, and in return, he gives me some amount of food grains, right? And there is a barber, he actually provides his services, he gets back something as food grains or something. So there is an interdependence, okay, that is keeping the social structure of that village. Now when you are writing about that, okay, when you are actually writing about that, you can actually sort of give an example of the one more study that was done by Malinowski in Trobriand Islands. Okay, so there is a global example, there is an Indian example, merge them. Is that clear? So that's how you can actually get the examples. You should get the examples. That is value addition. And further, the third one is diagrams and flowcharts, especially for physical anthropology. Okay, especially for physical anthropology, you should be able to draw the diagrams. Each of the diagram you must have drawn at least 100 to 150 times before the exam. Is that clear? And like in that particular diagram, it should be well labeled. You should be able to sort of show every particular aspect clearly. Okay, like it can be skulls or anything that you draw. You should be able to show the every aspect clearly. Okay, and also in terms of social anthropology, try to get some flowcharts. Okay, and in terms of like Indian anthropology, try to get some like maps. Like archaeological anthropology, I've told you, get some maps. Okay, so these are some value addition material. Is that clear? So these are something that you need to look at. Is this clear? And further, see here, this is the table. Like for example, how you should make the table for anthropologists, thinkers. Okay, like for example, Malinowski, what did he give? Which was his theory? Functionalism. Okay, like for example, theory of needs. There is a need, there is a function for any particular aspect, or like let us say in one particular society there existing some ritual. That ritual is existing because of some need. That is what he says basically. Okay, so when you look at that, the theory of needs is given, and he is speaking about participant observation. He is spoken about the like Kula ring. Okay, and his book. Where did he study? Trobriand Islands. What is his book? Argonauts of Western Pacific, that was published in 1922. This is how you make the functional chart. Okay, this is value addition for you. Okay, this becomes very handy for you to revise and also present the same. Can I draw a good introduction from this chart? Can I add value to my body of the answer? Yes or no? So look at it. Malinowski, again Radcliffe Brown, again Levi-Strauss, Franz Boas, M.N. Srinivas, L.P. Vidyarthi, Gure, and Verrier Elvin, so many of them. Let me give you one simple example, because you are not much exposed to anthropology, so this can be easily accepted. There is Verrier Elvin, who was actually working in the field of tribal activism. Okay, he had worked in the central India, okay, especially with respect to Baigas, Gond, and several other tribes, and he actually very strongly advocated a particular concept for the protection of these tribes. For the protection of these tribes, you should actually sort of design a concept like national parks for them. Okay, what is the concept of national parks? Basically, to protect the species inside, you are not allowing any external shocks to disturb it. The same way, these are living traditions. Okay, the tribes are living cultures. To protect those cultures and to actually insulate them from becoming one amongst us, like not in the negative terms. Okay, I'm not telling this in the negative terms. To protect their own cultural identity, I'm saying. Okay, to protect their own cultural identity, and let us say to avoid them becoming very much common like us. Okay, so you have to go for a national park ideology. That is what Verrier Elvin says. So now, entire concept is written in 4 blocks, right? Does it help you to substantiate wherever required? Yes or no? You are speaking about tribal problems. Can you conclude with such a statement? Yes or no? Right? So this is how you value add your notes. Ivaga artha ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ how to do this? Okay, next. How do you write like a specialist? Okay, firstly, do we have to write like a specialist? Yes, because this is not general studies. Correct? This is not general studies. Now, for example, let us say, like for example, okay, can we define the relationship in, let us say, in our daily life? There will be relations around us, right? Can we define the relationship in different ways? Like for example, let us say, those people, like for example, my sister, my brother, my father, my mother, these people are, how are they attached to me? Through the bloodline. They are relations through the blood. But for example, let us say, like for example, my wife or my wife's related people, they are not through the bloodline. Neither my wife is through the bloodline. Okay, so that is by marriage. Okay, so there are some terms for it. Okay, those relations that you see by, I mean that kinship by blood is called consanguinity. Okay, the relationship by marriage is called affinity. Affinal relations or affinal kins we'll call it specifically. So use the correct terminology that shows your expertise. Okay, now there is something called fecundity and fertility. Okay, when you actually look at the fecundity, fecundity is the biological potential to reproduce. Okay, fecundity refers to the potential to reproduce. But when you look at fertility, it is actual performance, actual reproductive performance. Okay, so potential means how many they can reproduce. Okay, fertility is how much actually they are reproducing. Did you understand? So instead of writing how much actually reproducing, how much they can reproduce, I will use the term fecundity, fertility. Does it sound more like a specialist? Yes. Okay, and adding to this, you can also see, like for example, if I'm okay, let us say I'm observing one particular society. I'm writing a book about one tribal society. Okay, let us say Jenu Kurbas. Okay, there are 2 ways. One, I can actually participate in their cultural aspects, in their societal aspects. Okay, they're conducting a marriage. Okay, I'll go participate with them, dance with them and eat with them and sleep with them there only, in the society only. I will see what is their daily routine. Everything I'll observe and I'll write. Now I am actually looking at it like an insider, as being part of it. There is one more, outsider. I'm just looking at them, what they are doing and documenting it. Okay, 2 different views. Now I can write it in terms of the terminology like emic, etic. Etic is outsider perspective, you are just writing it down. Emic is insider perspective, you are participating along with them and you are knowing it. Why they are doing it, how they are doing it. So you write the terminologies, emic perspective, etic perspective, that gives the specialist answer. Is that clear? So terminologies are very important. And apart from this, you should also maintain an anthropological perspective. Okay, what do you mean by anthropological perspective? Give a holistic understanding of the topic firstly, and avoid ethnocentrism. I told you what is ethnocentrism in the beginning. Yes or no? I feel my culture is superior over the other. That is ethnocentrism. Avoid ethnocentrism. Anthropology does not have space for ethnocentrism. Okay, so now when you actually bring that ethnocentrism, your answers become judgmental about the tribes. It becomes judgmental about the other society. Okay, so now like that ways if you see, okay, that ways if you see. Now for example, like in the society you have something like gay marriages, lesbian marriages, transgenders and all these things. Now if you become ethnocentric, you will actually be judgmental about those. Right? So, but if you write it in cultural relativistic idea, you can write an holistic understanding of that particular aspect. Correct? So these are the 2 things. Correct terminology anthropological perspective. That gives a specialistic understanding for you, and your answer is like a specialist. Did you understand? That's the demand of this particular paper. Is that clear? Okay. And further, you can also see here, like the next one is very important, this part. How can you actually go for the top tier score? What do you mean by top tier score? Anything up to 270, 280 is a good score. Anything more than 300 is a top tier score. 270, 280, everybody will achieve in Anthro if you are dedicated enough. Okay, but scoring more than 300 requires some extra advantage, extra, efforts. Like what? Let us look at this. See, when you look at this, here, every aspirant knows this, okay, personally, that what you learn in paper 1 should be applied in paper 2. But many aspirants fail to know this, that what you learn in paper 2 can also be applied in paper 1. Okay, did you understand? Okay, see, let me tell you one simple aspect here. Like, for example, there is one scholar called Marvin Harris. Okay, he gave a theory that was related to cultural materialism. Okay, so he actually speaks that the material conditions of the society, okay, the material conditions of the society will determine the ideology of that society and also the social structure of that society. Okay, this is what he tells. Like, there is some materials in the society. That materials that the society relies on determines the societal structure and societal ideology. That's what he says. This is paper 1. But can I say, in paper 2, when we study about Indian agriculture, okay, can I say the land ownership, okay, the land ownership or the profits from the agriculture, everything changed from the material idea that changed from the Green Revolution? Yes or no? Right? See, very simple. The agricultural technology that came up during the Green Revolution changed the entire dynamics on the land ownership. Okay, this is what we call it as the rich land owners are able to own more. Why? Because Green Revolution gave them the profits. They are holding more land. They are buying more land. Okay, so it's the same way. Can I say, like, the labor relations also changed? Okay, now if I, for example, bring big land and I have more of machinery, then of course the labor relations will change. Yes or no? Agricultural laborer with that relationship, demand and all these things will change. Okay, so and eventually these changes will change the rural power dynamics. Very simple, let me tell you one more thing. MGNREGA. Okay, guaranteed income. Correct? So, now, can I say the dependency on the judgment reduced? Yes or no? Now, the changed? Yes or no? So, this is what we are speaking about. Is that clear? So, this is paper 2, Indian example. Bring it and throw it in the paper 1 answer. That gives you better analysis, better score. Okay. So, similarly, like one more thing. Like, for example, there is something called acculturation and tribe caste continuum. Okay. Here, when you look at this, like, for example, I'll give you one simple example because these concepts are not something that you have learnt. Those who have actually learnt, those who are giving this year mains, for them it becomes easier. But for you, I'll give you an example. See, like, for example, M.N. Srinivas. I told you about this anthropologist, right? M.N. Srinivas, he's from Karnataka only, Mysore. Okay. So basically, he gave a concept of Sanskritization. What is Sanskritization? Now, particular, like, let us say, in the social hierarchy, in the caste-based Hinduism, or any such aspects. Like, for example, you can see some particular, like, let us say, they are, let us say, tribes. When they come in contact with the caste system, they start, like, adopting the caste rituals. Okay, they start adopting the deities, they start following the social norms, and they convert themselves. They are still tribes, but their practices are more like a caste. Is that clear? Like, for example, let me tell you. Like, for example, let us say, community in the scheduled tribes, or let us say scheduled caste. Okay, now they start practicing like something like Brahmins or Vaishyas, like they'll give up on eating non-veg. Okay, they'll start wearing the sacred thread. Okay, they'll start following like Shaivism or Vaishnavism or something like this. Now they are actually practicing the higher order rituals and norms and everything, and they're trying to change their status, social status. Okay, so this thing is acculturation when you are writing in paper 1. Take this example, put it there, tribe caste continuum concept. Okay, so this is what I am trying to tell you, which you can actually write. Is that clear? So next, apart from this, here, this is what we have mentioned, like functionalism and judgment. I've told you about this. Okay, and cultural materialism and agrarian relationships, I told you just now. And like again, you can see acculturation and tribe caste continuum. So these are the ones. Next. Now you can look at this. See, in paper 1, there is economic anthropology. In economic anthropology, there is something called reciprocity. Okay, the reciprocity is a concept in economic anthropology, where, for example, you give me something, I give you back of the same equivalent. Okay, that is the thing. So in judgment system also it is the same thing, no? In paper 2, what is judgment system? There is that Yajman and there is a patron. Patron provides services, Yajman gives in return something. Okay, so that is also reciprocity. So can I use the example of judgment system in economic anthropology? Yes. Okay, so similarly kinship. There is one particular important anthropologist, Iravati Karve. Okay, like Iravati Karve happened to work on North and South Indian kinship systems. Okay, so North and South Indian kinship systems they have spoken about. So basically you can see that how exactly the study of North and South Indian kinship systems, like that can be used in kinship of paper 1. Is that clear? When you are writing something about the kinship in paper 1, so look into the concepts that you have studied in paper 2, like quote Iravati Karve's work there in paper 1. That gives you added advantage. This nobody is doing. I mean, only those who are able to score more than 300, they are the ones who are doing. Bringing the examples from paper 2 and putting it in paper 1. Is that clear? Did you understand this? Okay. Similarly, applied human genetics. Okay. See, I'll tell you about this. Indian government has come up with something called India's sickle cell anemia control program. Okay. Sickle cell anemia is basically like sickle cell anemia is a genetic disorder. Okay. So basically sickle cell anemia is a genetic disorder. This is very much common in the tribal populations. So that's why India government has come up with sickle cell anemia control program, especially in the regions of Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. Okay. So, So yes, in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh region, they have come up with this program. So now, can I say, when you are writing something in the, physical anthropology about sickle cell anemia, can I mention about this India's program to control sickle cell anemia related things in the tribal population? Yes, this is how you integrate paper 2 knowledge in paper 1. Is that clear? Okay. And further, like ecological anthropology. Okay. When we speak about ecological anthropology, there are certain tribes who are very much ecologically, they are very much cautious. Okay. Conscious about it. Like for example, let us say sacred groves. Okay. In Karnataka also sacred groves are there. We call it as Devarakadu. Okay, you must have heard this concept. And mostly Devarakadu, that is like sacred groves. Okay, like for example, forget about this. Sacred grove, I'll give you one example. Brindavan. Brindavan is a sacred grove. Okay, you have several sacred groves even in Karnataka when you go towards the Western Ghats. Okay, so in Meghalaya also there are several like this, so which actually are sort of the sacred groves. Okay, that concept you can mention in ecological anthropology. Is that clear? And moreover, that actually defines the human nature relationships. So you can relate it with, there is a concept called the man-nature complex. Is that clear? So there is one concept that you can actually nature-man-spirit. Okay, that's where you can actually add this. Okay, so nature-man-spirit complex. There you can add this. What is nature? Ecology. What is man? Culture. What is spirit? The deity. Okay, deity or anything that is related. Okay, so like basically the spirits or religious beliefs. Okay, that is something you can speak about. Okay, so that's where you can actually sort of, under ecological anthropology, you can relate the nature man spirit complex of paper 2 in paper 1. Is this clear? Okay, so now let me give you, I have given some examples here. You can look at this. See, when you speak about functionalism, from paper 2 you can speak about judgment system. And related scholars like Weiser had been to study in Karimpur village regarding the judgment system only, how the reciprocal duties have been kept, the entire like village solidarity. Okay, and who are the thinkers? This is how you make the notes. Okay, next, second one, structuralism is speaking about, see, our Indian caste system is related on purity and pollution. Okay, these are two binary opposites. Okay, structuralism speaks about the binary opposition. Okay, so you speak about the Indian caste system, you can add it here. Okay, next, cultural ecology. Just now, like for example, in cultural ecology, like can I say, saving water is one of the important ecological principle, right? Now, when you go to this Apatani tribes who are in Arunachal Pradesh, what they do, you know, they grow rice in the same water flooded field. They also raise fishes. Okay, that's part of the cultural ecology. Yes or no? So that is something you can write here. Okay, similarly, acculturalization or Sanskritization. I told you about the Sanskritization. Okay, the lower caste or tribal group will actually start picking up the rituals, customs of the higher caste and start imitating the same. Okay, that is part of acculturization also, Sanskritization also. You write about that. Like, for example, the Kodavas, Kurg. Okay, they are tribes. Okay, actually, they are tribes. So, M.N. Srinivas studied about the Kurgs of Mysore, who actually were helping him to develop with the concept of Sanskritization. Okay, so you know about Kurgs, right? Kurgis. Kurgi Gotala, Kodavas. Okay, they are actually tribes. Okay, but they have, like, they are the example of Sanskritization, acculturation. Okay, so that is something you can look at. Next, you can see nature man spirit complex. I told you about the same. Okay, like you can actually sort of, even LP Vidyarthi spoke about the Malar tribes in Rajmahal Hills, okay, regarding the, how they actually relate themselves with the nature, okay, and how their religion is dependent on the nature, okay, something like that. And also applied anthropology you can think about, okay, see there was decriminalization of Lodha tribes of West Bengal by Bomwicks, okay, so Bomwick, so basically that is the same thing that you can look at this part also. Economic anthropology, I've told you about it. Like see, the Vedanta bauxite mining in Niyamgiri Hills happened to like trouble the Dongria tribe, okay, Dongria Kon tribe. Like how much it troubled their subsistence economy. That means basically that resulted in unemployment for them, land alienation for them, and also they have certain, like, you know, what do you call, like attachment with the nature in terms of their religion, in terms of their, like, you know, sacred, like, you know, landscape, everything. That is all disturbed. Okay, so we can speak about the economic anthro over there. Okay, so similarly political anthro. Okay, here also you can see, like, there are several tribes. Okay, see there is this tribe called Kebang. Okay, this is basically in Arunachal Pradesh. They actually dispute the, they actually resolve the disputes within their, like, you know, tribe through customary laws. Okay, like for example, like you can see certain tribes, they'll be like you know, they keep like godly figure as the representative, and they say, okay, like this person is the head of our tribe and he is the godly figure, his decision is the God's decision. You must have seen this in movies, that is spoken in the spoken in terms of the tribes. So like this, that is the customary laws they have. Okay, so based on that they will be actually sort of resolving the crisis. Okay, so these are some examples you can look at. So that's how you link the concepts. Is that clear? And next, further, when you see further here, the next important aspect is, how is there any role of the current affairs? If it is there, then what is the role? Okay, how do I use the current affairs in my betterment of the answers? Okay, here, see, first thing, you should always be in a situation that anthropology is not just the study of the past. You should have this clarity. Anthropology is not the study of the past. It is a living discipline though there is not much work that is happening across the world, but here and there the discipline happens to actually discover certain things or understand certain new things that when comes on the news, you have to learn it. Is that clear? Okay, so you should always have a filter or some way to adopt and identify the news items regarding this. Okay, see, very simple, I'll tell you, like, for example, if there is any species that is identified, let us say, yeah, I told you about that primatology, evolution from apes. Okay, if there is any new species identified, hominin species or anything, you will have to be aware of it. You should learn about it. Okay, and second thing, you should also learn, like for example, there are several archaeological excavations like Rakhi Gari, recent archaeological excavation, or you can think about Sinauli, recent archaeological excavations. So these will give you something about the archaeological history, archaeological evolution. So you have to know about this. Or in the news, like for example, you study about genetic research, that you have to be aware of. Any genetic research or something that comes. Once your foundation is strong, then from the current affairs that you pick up easily gets fit in everywhere. Okay, and apart from this, like for example, the tribal issues. Like for example, let us say, Forest Rights Act. If this is implemented, how will it actually impact the tribes? Or let us say something like the sickle cell disease. Why that was chosen? Because it is a high incidence disease. Okay, how do we control, in what ways we should approach to the tribes to actually control this? Because, see, for example, what happens is, like, there will be societies, okay, even in our own society, certain, like, diseases will not be seen through the scientific angle, but will be looking at it through the religious angle. Okay, so same way, like, I'll give you one simple example. If you go to Africa, okay, okay, let us say like this, there is one tribe. In that tribe, what happened was, diarrhea was the biggest killer of children in that particular tribe. So what happened was, the WHO happened to approach that particular tribe for a solution. They did not accept. So they observed one thing. Any day, like any particular child starts getting diarrhea, okay, they used to run to the person who is like a priest. Okay, who is like a priest. So they used to run to him. So when they used to run to him, right, so he used to give some like sacred water or something like this. Now the WHO approached this person, this medicine man or a priest, and they asked him, instead of like whatever you are adding into it, I'll give you one sachet. You add this into the water and give it to them. What is the sachet? ORS. Okay, it drastically reduced the death rate. Okay, so this is something that you need to know. So such tribal issues, different case studies, approaches, these are some things that you need to be having a list like I showed you. Is that clear? And moreover, like for example, like any socio-cultural issues, like for example, let us say like this, Uniform Civil Code, application of Uniform Civil Code. How will it impact the different sections of the society? Or let us say, like for example, the marginalized communities, how they will be impacting with certain changes in the socio-cultural aspects. Okay, once that comes in the news, that also you should be aware of. Is that clear? And further, like any genetic or medical research that is happening, that is something, if it is very much important in the Indian perspective, Indian population perspective, that's something you should know. Okay, and the government policies and reports, like Niti Aayog studies on any tribes if there is, or if there is, like, Niti Aayog has separate reports like multidimensional poverty index, where tribes will fall in that, right? Or you can speak about the National Family Health Survey, or you can speak about Ministry of Tribal Affairs annual survey report, annual summary report. Okay, so several articles from Yojana, Kurukshetra, EPW, these are some things that gives you the information. Okay, this is something that you look for value addition from current affairs. Is that clear? See, you need not actually go much into the aspects very much detailedly, okay, and read every resource. No, don't do that. Just stick to this. Primary resource, you go for Indian Express. My suggestion, though I have written Hindu here, but I would suggest Indian Express. In that also you have explained section that you read. Okay, and there is Down to Earth magazine and Economic Political Weekly. These two magazines will give you sometimes very good articles related to the anthropology topics. Okay, like for example, the societal issues, tribal issues, all these are very well discussed in this also. You can look into it. And more than that, some of the ministry websites. Not some of the ministry, tribal affairs. Is that clear? So, these are more than sufficient. Okay, that is it. Nothing more than this. Indian Express, anyways you will read. Down to Earth magazine, EPW magazine. That's it. And Tribal Affairs Ministry. Is that clear? So, this is something that you will look at. Okay, next. So, I'll give you the example also. Like see, surrogacy regulation and the family. Okay, see, now there was this Surrogacy Regulation Act 2021. You know what is surrogacy, right? What is surrogacy? Anybody? Where basically the zygote is implanted, the baby grows in the surrogate mother, and then like that surrogate mother is not the biological mother. Okay, so the baby will grow in surrogate mother's womb, and then the baby is delivered to the parents. Okay, correct. This is surrogacy. Now, if you look at the definition of marriage, if you look at the definition of family, okay, now this thing actually is a deviance. So how do you put it? Okay, so this concept of surrogacy, how do you actually relate with the social change? Okay, or like in the family definition, in the marriage definition. Marriage, one of the definition criteria is reproduction. Okay, now that particular reproduction is taking a deviance, no? Through surrogacy. So how do you put? So this is how you actually take that and give as an examples. Okay, for deviance. Or let us say, when you say marriage, okay, should I actually define marriage? Is there any universal definition of marriage? If there is, then if there is a universal definition, then marriage should be saying that it's a union between a male and a female. Then what about gay? What about lesbians? Right? So now, where do you put this? That is current affairs. How many countries have recognized it? Okay, India's status on it. So, then you will actually link it, social change. In paper 1, marriage. Did you understand? Clear with this? Like for example, single parent. Okay, not married, but they will adopt a kid. Is that a family? If yes, then how? What is the social change in India? Did you understand how we can take the examples and put it? Okay, similarly, climate change and high altitude adaptation, melting of glaciers. Okay, I gave you that example of Ladakh in the beginning of the class. Okay, that artificial ice stupas. Okay, so ecological anthropology, you can give an example there. Yes or no? Okay, similarly, Forest Conservation Act and tribal rights, like Forest Conservation Amendment Act to 2023. So, how it actually affects the forest policy on the tribes. That is something you can write, analyze it and write. Correct? So this is how you link current affairs with the syllabus. Did you understand? Clear with this, everyone? Okay? Yeah. Next. All these are fine. How do we deconstruct the topper strategy? This is very important. Is that clear? See, like every time a topper comes and tells you his or her success story, there is something that you need to deconstruct. Okay, with respect to anthropology, here I have taken 2 examples. One, Anudeep Duri Shetty, and second one, Akshat Jain. Okay, when you are preparing, my suggestion, Anudeep Duri Shetty is the first model. The second model of preparation is Akshat Jain. Okay, what do you mean by this? See, now Anudeep Duri Shetty's blueprint speaks about depth of the subject, diagrams, global examples. While Akshat Jain's method says model answers, concise and integrated notes. What do you mean by this? Let us look at this. Now, see, in like Anudeep Duri Shetty's model, okay, what happens is basically here, like first thing, success is never based on the book list. If Akshat Jain gives you the book list, or Anudeep Duri Shetty, or Dwej Goel, or anybody who gives you the book list, it is same. Yes or no? At least 90% it is same. Okay, but what actually changes your score is the way you actually prepare, the way you approach the subject. Is that clear? So for that, let me actually explain what Anudeep Durishetty did and what Akshit Jain did. Okay, see, if you look at Anudeep Durishetty's method, first he went, I have spoken about the primary source plus the value addition method. That is Anudeep Durishetty's method. Okay, he went very much depth into like the basics. Is that clear? His strong foundation. Then he value added with the global examples, flowcharts, diagrams, and several other things. Is that clear? That is the first step he did. Like second step, he did not compromise on the depth of understanding the theories. Okay, anthropological theories. He understood anthropological theories very much in very well understood depth, so that helped him actually give very good answers in socio-cultural anthropology. Is that clear? And then along with that, he went for Ember and Ember for better examples. You can watch his videos. He speaks about this. Okay, and further, like you can see, he bought several examples across the world. Okay, like for example, he bought the examples of Chinook tribes, Newer tribes, Kung tribes, okay, and Kwakitul tribes, so many other tribes across the world. He bought these tribes, he incorporated these tribes in paper 1 along with in paper 2 wherever there is necessary with respect to India-centric. India-centric examples in paper 1, global examples in paper 2. This integration was also there. Okay, and further, he very clearly gave importance for diagrams. He practiced the diagrams, very neat, well labeled diagrams, and that is something he did. So what did he do? First, primary source plus value addition. In the value addition, he went for, like first primary source, he went into depth of the knowledge, and value addition, he went for flowcharts, diagrams, and also like world examples. Okay, and he practiced them thoroughly. This is what gave him very good score. Okay, now what did Akshit Jain do? I am not suggesting you to stick to only Anudeep Durishetty's method. I am asking you to stick to Anudeep Durishetty's method along with Akshit Jain's method. So first, Anudeep Durishetty's method is the primary. First 3-4 months, you will function on knowledge building and depth, like Anudeep did. Okay, next 2 months, what you will do is Akshat way. What is Akshat's way? Akshat, what he did was, basically, he, after learning the basics, he went for model answers. He prepared his own model answers. Okay, he went for the previous year questions and he started giving pre-structured answers. A defined introduction, body, conclusion for every topic. Last 10 years, 15 years paper. Okay, that is what he published as Anthropology Demystified. Is that clear? So now when you do this, what happens is you have ready-made food that you can actually put in your paper. Yes or no? Ready-made answer that you can put it in your paper. So here, when you do this, also he concised his revision notes. Right? He concised revision notes in the format of question and answer. Okay. Now, apart from this, here the simple aspect was like first one, knowledge building and depth. Second one, consolidation. Third one is practice. Okay, consolidation through the question and answer format. Practice, mock test. Along with PYQs you have already done in consolidation. So practice is mock test. This method if you follow, I can bet nobody can stop you from getting more than 300. Is that clear? Nobody can stop you from getting more than 300. At least you will be the top, in the top 5% or top 10%. Is that clear? So this is how you should actually bring that, like, sort of learnings from the topper's experience. Okay, did you understand this? This thing you can apply for general studies also. When you sit for a topper session, this is what you need to learn. But what students do is, they just look at what is the book list. Yes or no? It's not about the book list. You have to know what is the methodology. Did you understand? What method made them get that particular score? That is important. Okay, so this is very important. Next. here, what actually gives you that extra edge? Okay, see, first one, the final thing that you need to look at is, like, basically, first you have to start with a good multi-layered revision strategy. That means you should actually revise it multiple times. It's a continuous process. It's not that I study during the class, done, I'll pick it up later during the exam. No, it's not like that. Okay, it's a continuous process. You have to revise on daily basis. Second one, spaced repetition. Like, for example, you study one topic today. After 1 week, you revise it. Again, after 1 month, you revise it. Again, after 3 months, you revise it. That will put in your subconscious memory, that particular topic. This applies for your general studies also. Is that clear? And apart from that, active recalling technique. What do? You make those flow charts. I showed you, no? I showed you the tabular columns and everything. You make the flow charts or tabular columns or anything. And how do you make it? Like, for example, you study the concept, close the book, take a rough sheet, start presenting it in a flow chart. Okay. Recall the thinker name, his work, what he did, where he did, what is the book, when did he publish, all these things you write down. Because this is more a factual accuracy demanding subject, you should know this. Is that clear? Okay. And revision through practice. I told you PYQs are important because repeated questions. Second, mock tests are very important. Why? I will discuss that also, why mock tests are important. See, when you look at this, see, mock test will actually give you one important aspect, that is, you will, whatever you want to actually, or else let us say like this, your exam environment is simulated in the mock test. Yes or no? It's a simulation. And here you will have to write 250 marks in 180 minutes. So that actually checks your time management skills. Okay. And second of all, it is a diagnosis of your performance. It's a diagnosis of your performance. Like what? Like any particular topic, you're having conceptual gap that you can identify. Yes or no? Which is your strength area, which is your weak area in terms of topics you can identify, because you know I have shown you the proper desegmentation of the topics based on the importance. Correct? And apart from that, any structural flaws, like you are missing on any thinkers, or you are missing on any case studies, you are missing on any diagrams, that you will be understanding. When you write an answer in the test, you know, oh, I could have added this particular diagram here. Correct? Yes or no? So that things can be, those things can be actually like learnt. It's a feedback mechanism. It's a feedback mechanism. That's why mock tests are important. And also, like basically, you can actually look at the frequency of the mock tests. Like for example, what I would suggest is, like at least after your after your prelims, you should write 8 to 10 full-length tests. Okay. That means 4 each from paper 1, paper 2, or 5 each from paper 1, paper 2. 8 to 10 full-length tests after your prelims. But before prelims, go for sectional test. Okay. Section-wise, you go for the test. That is very important. Okay. So, this is something that you need to know. And further, now, this is the common mistakes that the students do, which reduces their score. First one, they ignore the syllabus, they don't read the syllabus, they don't go through the analysis of the previous year questions, they don't analyze, self-analyze the previous year questions. That is the biggest mistake. Okay. Second one, passive reading. They don't make notes, they don't go for active recalling technique, which I have mentioned. Okay. That is like passive reading. That's not active reading. You are not engaged in the subject. You are completing the subject. That's it. Is that, I guess you got the difference. You should be engaged in the subject. Neglecting answer writing. This biggest mistake in every part of the preparation. What you tend to do is, let me complete this portion, then I will write. Let me complete this subject, then I will write. But that day will never come. You should make a habit that every day you write one answer, every week you write one sectional test. Is that clear? That is something you should do. Next, like for example, like knowing what Sanskritization is, but not being able to apply it with recent specific examples from a village or a tribal group. This happens because no practice in writing. I told you what is Sanskritization is. but you do not know how to apply it in other examples. That is because you have a passive reading and you do not have the answer writing expertise. Is that clear? Every first answer written by anybody is the worst answer. Unless you write that first answer, you will not be able to write the best answer. Did you understand? Okay. So unless you write the first worst answer, you will not be able to improvise. That is why practice is important. Don't neglect answer writing. Okay. And next one, lack of diagrams and examples. I told you, like this subject gives you a lot of scope for diagrams, flowcharts, examples and everything. That is the crux. I have given you several tables today, right? So that is the crux of that particular, what do you call it as the scoring. Okay, so you should have sufficient practice in the diagrams, flowcharts and everything ready, like the tables I showed you. Okay, and over-reliance on one source. This is also mistake. Okay, don't limit your perspective to one source. Okay, that doesn't also mean that you go for hunting for several books. One primary source, value addition. That's what it means. Is that clear? And ignoring current affairs. Yes, that is a bigger mistake because paper 2 is actually dependent on current affairs. I showed you the tribal aspects like government reports, schemes, programs, these are important. Okay, next. So like burning out, this is for the main students especially. Don't neglect your health. Make sure you sleep peacefully for at least 6 to 8 hours every day and take sufficient breaks between your preparation. Because if you don't do this, it's like very simple. I want to drive my car from Bengaluru to Delhi. Okay, I cannot drive in one stretch. If I do that, the engine will cease. Similar is the concept with our brain. Okay, you will actually see the fatigue if you actually go for burning out. Like, I want to study for 12 hours, 13 hours, no break. Take healthy breaks. Is that clear? 2 hours once, take a break for 15-20 minutes. That's affordable. Okay, so that's affordable. Okay, so that is the thing. Next. So for those who are actually giving the exam this year, what should you do for the next 60 days? The simple thing is, in the first 4 weeks, focus on paper 1. Okay, like if you're giving, let us say, 6 hours or 5 hours, you are giving 5 hours for your, anthropology. Then 70% of that 5 hours, let us say somewhere around 3.5 hours, you study paper 1. Okay, you focus on paper 1. And 1.5 hour or 1 hour, you give time for mock test. Okay, that means basically mock test as in write practice answers every day back in your room, and also like weekly once. Okay, like these 4 weeks, like you are giving like 1 week, 7 days. Okay, so 6 days you study, 7th day go and write a test. Is that clear? Or 5 days you study and 6th and 7th day go and write a test. This also can be done. Same way from week 5 to 7 is for paper 2. And so basically on the week 8, okay, the last week, okay, the last week what you will do is like 53 to 60. That is the day numbers. During that time, you will revise intensively and start writing much of the test. That writing is 80% here and answer analysis is 20%. Okay, intensive revision, mock test, answer analysis. This should be your pattern for the last week. So this is for the next 60 days plan. 4 weeks for paper 1, 70-30 rule, 70% for studying and 30% for answer writing. And next 4 weeks for paper 2. And after these 8 weeks, 1 week is for intensive revision, mock test, and then answer analysis. This, if you do very disciplined manner, in very religious manner, you will be able to score above the average. Okay, so this is another thing. And let me tell you the final checklist for those who are actually preparing and giving the exam this year. Firstly, you should have your consolidated notes. That is very important. Secondly, revise this consolidated notes multiple times. Okay. And secondly, get a hand over the map practice and also the diagrams and the flowcharts. Okay. And also, I showed you that table. Like that, you make the table for thinkers and keep it ready with you, very handy. Okay. And apart from that, don't miss on writing the mock test and analyzing those answers. That is very, very important. Okay. And have some mastery over the previous year questions, because I have told you this repeats. Yes or no? These questions repeats. So have mastery over the previous year questions, at least last 10 years. Okay. So that is something. And the final thing is, don't read anything new. This is not the time for reading anything new. So completely just revise your consolidated notes. No new resource. Okay. Secondly, make sure you practice the diagrams and maps thoroughly. Dedicate some time for it. Okay. Because these visual representations actually give more information than the paragraphs. Okay. So that is the thing. And apart from that, also be updated with the current affairs so that you can add them as the case studies or examples in your answers. Okay. So that is the thing. And of course, very simple thing, but very important thing. Prioritize your health, sleep, and also maintain calm state of mind. Is that clear? So this is something that you need to look at. This is your final action plan for this year mains 2025. Okay. And finally, this is it. So your questions are welcome if you have any questions. And yes, the blueprint I shared with you, that is more than sufficient to make a subject give you 300 plus served on a golden platter. Okay. And yes, for that, you need to believe that you can actually handle this subject. Second one, you should be consistent with the blueprint I suggested, and also you need to work smart. Okay. You will easily get more than 300. So this is the basic aspect. I hope I have covered every aspect of this anthropology, right? So you have any doubts, you're open for the questions. Yes, the my side presentation is done. So you tell me, you have any questions? Anyone? Is that clear, holistic? Everything you understood? Why and what of anthropology, everything you understood? Okay, so that's it. Okay, so that's it about this particular session. And this was designed in that manner so that the newcomers also get some insights, and also the veterans who are giving the exam this time, so they also have an idea about how to approach it. Is that clear? So it's a holistic session. So I hope you enjoyed it. Okay. Yeah, fine. That's it for today. Thank you. And I guess by 10th July, this anthropology batch will be starting here. Okay. So you can go to the website. You will get further details over there. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.